Hey guys, so welcome back to the new video. So today I want to show you about, or rather, I want to teach you about form attributes or attributes in general. That is HTML attributes, right? So right off the bat, I'm just going to go into what attributes are. So let's say, for example, now you have a family, right, or something. Okay, let's use family for example. You have a family, right? And in your family, you have sisters, you have brothers. Definitely, you guys don't all look like alike, right? But you have the same surname. Even if you're twins, you have a twin, right? You guys can be identical, but the way you act is different. Maybe one is usually very loud, maybe one is quiet, maybe one laughs a lot, that kind of thing. So that's what attributes are basically. They look alike, right? Okay, no, sorry. Attributes are basically used to define or to alter the way an element behaves or looks or maybe responds to you. That's what basically attributes are, right? All right, so I'm going to show you examples of attributes of HTML attributes. So I'm just going to create a new file and then I'm going to call it attribute. Now the reason why I am teaching you attributes right now is so that when I start going further and I'm using some attributes, you already have a basic understanding of what attributes are. And obviously I'm not going to be covering everything about attributes right now. I can put a link in the description. You can go to W3 School and check out attributes. Okay, so I'm just going to go into attributes. So first of all, let's look at the form attributes. Okay, so I'm just going to use an input field. I know I haven't really taught you most of all these things I'm going to be showing, but pay no attention to them basically. I just want to show you the attributes. So I'm going to be pointing out the attributes as I um as I work or go along with it. Okay. All right. So this is my form attribute placeholder. I'm just gonna say sorry, what happened? Okay, placeholder. I'm just gonna say username. Okay. So basically this is it, right? This is the form. Let me show you how it is. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so this is it, right? So you see username here and you see placeholder inside. Now this placeholder where you see sorry, I think this is a bit too small for you. Let me see if I can increase the size. Okay, that's better. So you see this place where you see, how do I close this? Okay, you see this place where you see this placeholder kind of thing. This is kind of like an attribute of the form in the sense that it accepts a placeholder. Now, one thing you should know about attributes is that not all elements accept the same thing, right? Some elements can accept this particular attribute. Some other elements will not accept it. Like a link element now can accept the source, right? But a link element cannot really accept an autofocus. You understand? So talking about autofocus now, let's use autofocus here. So what we're gonna do to add the attribute is just gonna say sorry. We're just gonna say, why is this thing highlighting like this? I don't want it to highlight like this. Okay, but anyways, we're just gonna say autofocus. We're just gonna say autofocus and we need to set it to on. I don't know, but we're just gonna say autofocus like this and let's see. I'm not sure you set it to on. I'm not sure it accepts any argument. No, I don't think so. So we're just gonna say autofocus. I'll save it and then we'll go to the browser again. What is it? So all we have to do is refresh. So you see automatically it already has this icon blinking inside of it to tell you that it's on focus. See, that's the autofocus here. So let me refresh again. So I refresh and it's already blinking inside. That's to tell you that it's on focus. So I'm going to do something else and then I'm going to take the focus out of it. But first of all, let me show you another attribute. I'm going to say label. and then I'm going to give it enter username something, right? Then inside here now, so this is where we write our attributes. We write them inside the tag, not outside that is being attributed. We write them inside the tag. So for tags that elements that have only one tag, that's a self-closing, right? We write them inside the tag, right? So for this one now that it opens and closes, that it opens here, it opens here and closes here, you write them in the first tag. So I'm going to say for. In other words, I'm trying to say who is this label for? Which inputs or which element are we giving this label for or to? Right? So I'm going to say to, and then I'm going to say name, for example, right? I'm going to say it's for name. That's the attribute. Then here now I'm going to give it an ID. That's an identifier. I'm going to say name. So when I click on this label, it's going to look at this for. Oh, it has an attribute here. So we're going to look for this for and say, oh, it's name. Oh, let's look for name as an element that has the ID of name. So it's going to look for it, and then it's now find this ID name, and then it will now put that autofocus here. But before I do that, I want to just do a text area for you so you can see. You can see that the autofocus works. Let's say text area doesn't usually accept anything though, but I'm supposed to put a label, but let's leave it that like that. I'm gonna say autofocus, and then we'll see what happens. Oh, by the way, I'm using bracket. You can see I'm using bracket for as my code editor right now for this video, and I'm using a theme called Neon Light. Is it? Let me see. Yeah, Neon Light. So if you like it, you can download it or something. I think I talked about this theme in my previous videos. So yeah, so I'm gonna save it, and I'll go in and look at how it is on the browser. Okay, so what we have to do now is refresh, and you see we already have the name. I think the autofocus. Okay, the autofocus is still here. So I'm going to remove this autofocus from this now, so it's not showing here. And then I want to put the autofocus on this text area here, so you can see that when I refresh like this, instead of the cursor coming here, it's going to come to my text area. Okay, so I'm removing this autofocus right here. Yeah, so let's just add a label here and say we're going to say text area. Let's say describe something for me, right? So the name now, I just want to change. You can put any name you want to put. So I'm going for his name, I'm going to write DIS, as in, let's say, short for description somehow, And then ID, I'm going to say DIS as well. Okay. So I'll save that. Remember now we have the autofocus here. So when we refresh the page, it's going to show on our text area. Okay. Right. So I'm refreshing the page now. Okay. Wait. Before that, let me just add a line break. So this looks a bit neat. I'm gonna add two line break. It looks a bit neat. Okay. Oh, sorry. Forgot this. Okay. So this should be fine now. All right. So I'm refreshing. All right. So you see now the cursor is now here. Cursor is now on the text area and not this input here. So that's why that's what autofocus does. That's the attribute. That's the attribute autofocus. This is what it does. Right now for the label, remember I put a label here now and said enter. That's the enter username for the first one. That the label for name, that's on line 1 that you can see. So then on line 2, you see at the ending, you see the ID of name, right? So what happens with labels that since I've already linked this label, right, to this input with the same name, if I click on the enter, if I click on enter username, right, it's going to show on my input field. So let me show you that. It's going to autofocus on input field. So let me show you that now. See, you see that the moment I click on the label, it goes to the input field. The moment I click on this other label, it goes to the input field. So you see, that's how you can. That's one of the benefits of using labels. It not just tells your users what to fill on the form, but also quickly autofocuses on that input field. So that's one of the huge benefits of that. Try not to take much time, but it's already going so long. Okay, so what else can I show you now? Let me show you another input field, another attribute called hidden, right? So the moment I say hidden on a form, I add an attribute called hidden, it's going to hide the form. So you're not going to see that form again on the front end. It's going to be hidden, right? So let me show you that one quickly. Sorry, I didn't save this. So save, come here now. So you see this now is going to disappear. You see that? It's disappear because it's still a form, but it's hidden. You get me? So usually when you want to do some kind of coding magic or something, you can add a value. So this is also an attribute. You can add a value and then give it a value of something. You understand? So the moment when you are submitting the form, it's already having the value. So the user doesn't need to necessarily input something into the form. It already carries a value. So I'm going to show you something now. I'm going to remove this hidden feature, and then I'm going to add and say this is my value. What's your value? Let me know. So I'm going to say this is my value, right? So I'm going to open it, refresh, and you see automatically it already takes that value. So if I'm going to submit the form, I don't need to fill anything here. It's already going to have this value, but also I can still change what is here and submit. It's now going to take in what is here, right? So that is that. What else can I show you? Okay, this text area now. Remember our text area is you see how it is. You see the size of our text area is not so big, right? I'm going to add an attribute of rows and columns to our text area so you can see how it changes size. Okay, all right, let's do that. First of all, let me break this line. I want everything to just be kind of stuck together. I'm going to change this line, and what do I want to do? Oh yeah, columns and rows. So rows are your, it runs from left to right. That's your horizontal. So that's your row, right? While your column runs from top to bottom, like it's vertical. So I'm gonna say rows. So like how many rows you want to give it? So you're gonna have to imagine like you're actually doing writing a table or creating a table, right? So I'm gonna give it 10 rows. Or no, let's say 5 rows, right? Then I'm gonna give it. You can decide to do only rows. You can try to do only column. Depends on your use case. So now I'm gonna give it columns. So columns, you say into the columns just like codes, right? So I'm going to give it 20 columns. So you see it's going to be like a cylinder because of the way I've already now what's it called now, the way I already created the size that this size I want it to be, right, by default. Okay, so if I refresh, you see now it's bigger, right, because of the size I've given it. I'll show you something now. I'm going to change this to 50. You see how long it's going to be right now. You see, I'm missing something. Oh, sorry. I think I made a mistake in in um in the way I described it to you. Now, rows, right? It runs from left to right. So when you say how many rows do you want, and I say 5. So imagine this thing now that I'm writing, this column now being stacked 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You understand? So it's going to drop down like this. So that's the rows that is how. So this is one row here, another row here, another row here. So basically the rows now works for the height of it, right? So while your column is just the opposite of it, works for the width of it. I don't know how I can explain that to you. Okay, let's see. So your column now works something like this. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. You can see now it stretches all the way. So this is your colon. So normally this is supposed to go down. This colon is supposed to go down all the way down, just like you have a table. So that's how it works. That's why you have it that long. Okay. All right. Good stuff. I hope you guys are really picking something here, because after this we're gonna be going straight into thicker stuff, so deeper stuff. Alright, so I'll show you one more thing and then we'll call it a video. I want to show you the read only attribute. Read only. So basically now what the read only does is that you can only read it, but you can't change it, you can't alter what is there. Right? So that's what I want to show you. So I refresh. You see now this place that we usually change before. Right now we can't change anything because I set it to read only value. So now I can't change the value of what is here. Right, so that's one way you can do that if you don't want your users to change what is here. Let's say if they want to edit their profile on your website and they already have an account name or a handle or something that you don't want them to change but you want them to see it, you can do it this way. You can also disable it. That's also another attribute. So instead of read only, you can just say disable. So if you put it, set it on disable and you check it now, did I not write that one? Oh, I didn't save. I saved this. Okay, so it's actually disabled and not disabled. So disabled, take note. So if I come here now and refresh, you see it has the value inside, but now it's disabled because I can't do anything with it. Okay, so that should be all for today. Or what's the time? It's almost gone. Let me show you one more before we go. So I'm just going to show you the last one, which is radio button. So the attribute now is checked, right? So I'm going to remove the attribute. So by default, when you go on it, when you go on if you go on your browser and you check it on your browser, none of them are going to be checked, right? So refresh, you see the buttons here, but they're not checked by default. You have to check them by yourself, right? So let's say, for example, now I want them to be checked. So all I need to do is just add the checked attribute to it, right? So that's it, and then this one's going to be checked. Let's say um okay, BR, right? So here we have radio. Let's do something else. Let's write male or female, right? um Sorry, label, and then we have female. Then let's say you are building a site for only females, that's specific for females, right? But males can also apply or go on the site or something, right? So let's say you want it to by default to be females, so you just now put females to be checked. So once they go to that place, you'll see that females already checked for them, right? So if I refresh, you see that female is already checked. Then if I'm a male, I can now come here and say no, I'm a male. You understand? So that's how these are some examples of attributes. I hope you found it really enlightening and impressive. I'm really sorry again for the time, but if you made it this far, kudos to you. Like, you're the real MVP. You're doing the most. Okay. All right. So we're back and we're gonna be putting out really nice content like this. Stay tuned. If you like this video, please share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. I've been Ola from Orion Tech, and I'm saying a big shout out to you and bye bye.